Blizzards have a way of showing you exactly who's got your back and who's just waiting to shove a knife in it. There I was, standing in the open doorway of my house, the wind howling like a pack of starving wolves, snow coming down so fast the world had turned to white static. Veronica Sterling, president of the HOA and queen of suburban nightmares, was right up in my face, finger-jabbing voice sharp enough to cut through bone. "Turn off that heated walkway, or I'm calling the cops." Now she yelled as if the snowstorm wasn't enough drama for the day. Inside, my wife, Rosalind, watched it all. Her eyes wide oxygen tank blinking warnings because the delivery guy couldn't even get up our icy walk. The so-called community rules, according to Veronica, mattered more than the fact my wife might not make it through the night without that path kept clear. That's how things work in Willowbrook Estates. If you're sick, or slow, or just not part of Veronica's wine club clique, you might as well be invisible. It's wild to think it all started when we moved in 3 years back on doctor's orders. After 34 years of marriage and Rosalind's lungs going downhill, clean air, and a single-story house weren't lifestyle upgrades. They were survival. Veronica was waiting. The day the moving truck rolled up, clipboard in hand, fake smile, running her eyes over our boxes, like she expected to catch us trafficking organs. "Just reviewing your moving compliance," she said, and I swear I saw her catalog every item we brought inside. That first winter nearly killed Rosalind. I came home to find her sprawled out on the walkway, blue-lipped snow clinging to her hair. Mrs. Patterson, our neighbor, called the ambulance, and the ER doctor told me we had 10 minutes to spare. After that, I refused to risk it again. I'm a retired water engineer. 35 years in, you learn to solve problems. So I installed a heated walkway. $8,000 permits for days, fire chief approval, county sign-off, nothing left to chance. Worked like a charm. 2 years, not a single fall. Rosalind could get her mail meet the oxygen delivery, even breathe fresh air after a storm. But good things have a way of putting a target on your back around here. When Veronica became HOA president, she brought with her a special kind of poison. Her house, gaudy as a wedding cake that's gone sour, stood as a monument to her sense of taste, or the lack of it. Her husband Baxter sits on the city planning committee, so between the two of them, every little thing was their business. It started small. She slapped Mr. Kowalski, a sweet, bird-loving retiree, with a $400 fine for his backyard bird feeders. Apparently, sparrows depress property values. Then she came for me. One icy morning, an emergency board meeting was called. There sat Veronica, nails clacking on the table, 2 of her followers sipping Pinot and nodding along to every word. I laid out every single permit, every inspection, all the approvals. She just smiled that smile you only see on TV villains. "County permits don't override community standards," she said. "Besides, our bylaws change as needed." And wouldn't you know it, she'd amended them 3 times in 6 months, always after someone like me or Kowalski tried to make their life a little safer. If there's one thing 35 years of engineering will give you, it's a nose for things that don't add up. The water pressure here never quite matched up street to street. And those fines, they all went to old folks, disabled people, anyone least likely to put up a fight. I started digging and found that Mr. Kowalski's son, who works for the county, had noticed something off about water usage on Veronica's street. Houses there burned through way less water than the rest of us, which, if you've ever seen their lawns, doesn't make a lick of sense. The day her nephew Derek, barely old enough to shave, showed up to document my walkway violation, snapping pictures with shaky hands, I realized the whole thing was a family business. But he slipped up, left his phone recording while griping about his aunt's obsession. Measured his grass with a ruler, he complained. Even he couldn't stand her. I got myself a real fighter for a lawyer, Marlene Vasquez. The second she looked at the files, she saw it. Selective enforcement, targeted amendments, discrimination as clear as the snow outside. But the real bombshell landed when we realized how Veronica always seemed to know about permit requests before anyone else. Baxter, her husband, was feeding her inside info from the planning committee. She'd whip up a new bylaw target, whoever needed a little mercy, and crush them before they could even plead their case. Worst part, their own house had every kind of unapproved amenity, hot tub, extra driveway, fancy lights, all signed off by Baxter. While she harassed wheelchair-bound neighbors to rip out ramps, she was breaking her own rules with a smile. My gut told me there was more. So I started pulling city water records, property surveys, digging through old agricultural maps. Turns out Willowbrook sits atop farmland with 3 irrigation wells. Those were supposed to be sealed when they built the neighborhood. But on Veronica's street, every backyard had a decorative manhole right over the old well sites. Someone rigged an underground system piping in free, untreated agricultural water. That explained the low bills and the sick neighbors. My old friend Jim Morrison, environmental agency guy, nearly choked when I called. Those wells are toxic soup kitchens, he said. Nitrates, pesticides, bacteria, heavy metals, enough to make your hair fall out and your kids sick. I got the water tested. Dr. Kim at the state lab confirmed my worst fears. 300% over the nitrate limit, pesticides from decades ago, bacteria lead, poison. Veronica was scrambling, trying to buy my silence. 30 grand, then 75, then a cool 100 grand with a non-disclosure agreement and an offer to pay for my walkway if I'd just move out and drop my complaints. That's when I knew she was scared, because suddenly the one doing the bullying looked more like the bullied. At the HOA meeting, she rolled out the PowerPoint guards posted at the doors, fake concern oozing from every word, claiming she'd discovered possible water issues and would personally fund comprehensive testing. Meanwhile, her nephew Derek, finally sick of being the errand boy, had flipped ready to testify. The state, the EPA, even the feds were waiting outside in unmarked vans. The community center was packed. I stood up, folder in hand, and called her bluff. Dr. Kim backed me up, credentials out, test results on the projector. Veronica's shrieking about conspiracies was drowned out by the arrival of federal investigators. Derek, bless the kid, stood up and told everyone about her cash offers. That was it. Handcuffs, cameras, neighbors gasping, staring, some crying, when they realized what their kids and grandkids had been drinking. 6 months, on the snows melting, on my legal HOA-approved heated walkway. Rosalind's breathing easier than she has in years. Veronica's in federal prison, Baxter too. Derek's on scholarship for environmental engineering. The whole neighborhood's changed barbecues instead of board meetings, support instead of suspicion. The money from Sterling's seized assets goes to medical bills and college funds for local kids. It's a strange thing, justice. People talk about it like it's just punishment, but really it's about truth coming out, healing, starting a little community, deciding it won't be bullied anymore. Bad people can make good places feel rotten, but when enough good people push back, even the worst reigns end. Still, I find myself wondering, what if I hadn't known where to look or hadn't pushed so hard? How many neighborhoods, how many families are living under someone else's thumb, sick, scared, powerless to fight back? Where's the line between keeping order and abusing power? What would you do if it was your family, your home? Let's talk about it. Drop your thoughts below. Ever had to stand up to someone with too much power? Ever discovered a secret that changed everything? Share your story. Let's keep each other honest. Because justice, like clean water, only exists if folks like us refuse to let it get poisoned.